Hello, you beautiful gamers. What is up? Welcome back to the We Spawn We Wap. This is Nick. My name is Jake. Are you ready to roll, buddy?
Yeah.
Every single week we break down the top gaming stories. Let's break them down, guys. Topics over here somewhere, hopefully. All right, let's run it. And we talk about them a lot. In fact, we talk about both these guys a lot. Last time we talked about DrDisRespect and Nadeshot was some turkey dingalings.
Yeah.
You know? If you guys know, you know. This week we're talking about DrDisRespect being disrespectful. I've been banging on that one for some time. It's so obvious. This past week, it was actually during the first ever Valorant event held by 100 Thieves. Pretty much, I think Yasuo put it pretty well as on top of that. The day of the event, supposedly very shortly before, DrDisRespect, after accepting the invite, recruiting a team, and then just anywhere from an hour to minutes before, then just said, no, I'm not going to play after finding out that a bunch of CS pros were playing in the Valorant event. So, I mean, where do we go from here, right?
Would you not expect a bunch of CS pros to take place in it?
I mean, I definitely, to a certain degree, expect. I understand where he's coming from. I think Summit, others kind of defended him in the fact that once these teams were slowly unveiled, we slowly found out, wow, there's a lot of CS pros. And then maybe Doc wasn't checking Twitter until the morning of, and all of a sudden he's like, wow, this is like CS Pro Team, formerly CS Pro Team, and he's like fed up with it. The other side being, obviously, Doc has some goal to just go out there and be like, nah, I'm not going to participate.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I love Doc, man.
Yeah, I mean, I do.
But I see that and I'm like, you can see that and just expect to get smashed and then like you're just going to take the L.
Play your few games, take your L, and then go. And last time you talked about Doc, we actually talked about other issues that we might touch on later, but certainly understand both sides. You know, obviously, no one wants to compete against Counter-Strike pros in a game that is literally Counter-Strike, but a bit more hyped up as of right now. He has now backed out. He has not really explained himself, and I'm sure it won't be the last time we talked about DrDisrespectful.
Some huge stuff going on in Valorant with how their anti-cheat works, because we've already heard about how like it's kernel level stuff and how it's always on and whatever.
And when you say kernel, everyone's like, what?
Everyone's like, what is kernel level? Yeah, level 0, like it essentially means that it always has administrator rights to your computer. So it is essentially always, you know, active and working in your computer, even when the game is not running. And a lot of people had issues with that, but there are other games that do this. So since we know that other games have anti-cheats that are always, you know, running and doing this, the same thing that Valorant's program does, is that a concern for you?
I think I speak for a lot of people. Not everyone, maybe not a majority, but when it comes time for your comparison, your video was a really good one. And 2eggs is actually a viewer, but also someone we've talked to before. He's developed anti-cheats for a game like Counter-Strike. His point was being that antiviruses, like they want to protect your machine at all times. I think even he himself saw his point as like, okay, maybe we want antiviruses to run all the time because you always want yourself protected. It doesn't mean we always want to be possibly spied on by a bigger bat company like Riot Games or Tencent. That's what I speak to the fact of, okay, you can try and catch me cheating in your game. That's all fair, that's great. If it works and keeps cheaters out, that's amazing. But there is no reason for you to have eyes on my machine and me outside of the game I am playing that the anti-cheat is running within. My ultimate concern, and again, I don't know when it comes to kernels and popcorn or whatever you're talking about when it comes to security levels, my issue is Riot Games and especially a titan in gaming like Tencent potentially having some sort of open door ways for hackers to access my stuff. That's where people get a bit concerned, and that's where I don't even think we can speak to the level needed.
Yeah,
and so it's a concern for a reason. There are thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not more people concerned about this for good reasons. And hopefully as time develops, we find out that we are safe and it's okay, or we find out more of the downsides of this running all the time. This next story all about Kyle Larson. During the recording, I kept on messing up the Kyle and Larson. You got Carl. I re-recorded this thing 3 or 4 times. N-words. They happen a lot in gaming, Nick. And this past week, just 4 weeks, I believe, into the iNascar Invitational Series, we had Kyle Larson drop the N-word on broadcast. Did you see the clip?
I did.
God,
that kind of hurt. Because he just drops it so nonchalantly. Like, why?
Dude, the fact that he was like, do you hear me? And then no one responds. And he's like, ba-ba. And you know, you literally, someone replied and they were like pictures that you can hear. And like, obviously the caption, and you could just, the way that when they drop the hard word, it hurts. Like, cause you know,
it's in their daily vocabulary and it's like,
I don't want to speak too much to that.
Maybe it might not be, but with how easily it came out, you can kind of.
I don't know many grown men that nonchalantly just draw that word back from like 4th grade. Like that's I don't know. I don't want to speak for him when it comes to that. Obviously, when anyone drops the hard N word, you got to feel like, I don't know many of my homies and friends that just say that. You know, actually, all of my homies don't say that. Yeah. So obviously, when it comes to the first time the crossover happened between iNascar and the virtual world and video game side of things, it hurts because this has become known as a meme of the gamer word. Now he's been fired, he's lost his sponsors, he's lost his job for the time being. What are your closing thoughts on this?
Oh man, I kind of want to piggyback on what you said, because I feel like I can totally understand like some like middle schooler, like high schoolers saying it, because that's just like the norm, and you know.
It's not okay.
How old is this guy?
It's not okay, but it's
I'm not
more
saying it's not.
understandable.
Yeah, it's more understandable because these people aren't quite matured yet. But Kyle Larson is how old?
I don't know.
40 something at least. Like I'm
maybe
guessing,
in his 30s.
maybe 30s.
He's
maybe
grown.
30s. But he's grown and matured, and he should not be saying this stuff nowadays.
Yeah, I think the punishment was obviously very, very harsh. I think to a lot of people out there it was deserved. Hopefully he learns from this, and hopefully everyone, the millions of people who have now seen the clip, they too can learn that this is just not going to be allowed.
He also put out that statement about it, and I'm wondering how you felt about it. Did you feel like?
Nope, we're not going to get into it. We'll talk. Nope, I'm not going to.
Okay.
I'm not going to critique his apology.
Okay, fair enough.
I understand where you're coming from. He apologized. That's all we can ask. Was it the best apology? Probably not. So we piggyback and we continue to talk about the Mixer topic. And one thing that we actually covered this past week, brought to us yet again by Nadeshot, someone we talk about a lot here on this channel.
A lot.
We love Nadeshot.
Love that guy.
We love the Thieves. We love a lot of organizations out there. He actually mentioned something very peculiar, though, with Dr. Lupo and Courage, and he talked about the generational wealth that Ninja and Shroud are potentially making from this Mixer deal, and that's why he thinks the move was worth it. Despite the lack of viewership now, the potential ruining for their future brands, he thinks it was worth it because it could change their kids and their kids' kids' lives. Do you agree?
I still don't know, man. Like, I still don't know. I feel like you could still have a much better career on Twitch, but at the same time, it's like Mixer, you've got a much smaller viewer base. You have theoretically a less toxic chat, or like at least less, you know, there's so much less
If there's
going on.
less people, there are less toxic people.
Yes, I guess that would be fair.
And Twitch has kind of become known as the place to go for toxic chatters, right?
Yeah.
We saw, especially at the beginning, like Shroud and Ninja clearly were like, I love this chat so much more. Everyone's so positive. I don't know if that's the same case. The last talking point being, we don't know how the contracts work. Now, I don't think they'll be released though, but we've also talked about as well, we have no idea what happens if Mixer goes under, right? What if Mixer does not last the length of their contract? Is it worth it then? There are so many angles, so much speculation. We can only give our 2 cents on whether or not we think it's worth it. I still tend to lean towards the side of yes, it is. But then we kind of, you know, we'll see what happens with Mixer. We'll see if these guys, once Mixer is done, I don't think anyone out there is saying Mixer's gonna last a decade. Once it's done, we'll see what kind of money is still on the table for them to go back to Twitch or YouTube. Will that money still be there? And then we'll find out who is right and who is wrong. So definitely a big talking point to end this recap on is one that a lot of people agree with and a lot of people don't. It's going to probably drive a rift out there and definitely a debate of the future of a game like Valorant. We talked about Dr. Dis last week with you and the whole drop issue, which he has now responded to multiple times. We talked about him earlier this episode of him dropping out of the 100 Thieves Valorant event entirely. The other side of exactly why was his excuse to now quit Valorant as well. His reasoning being it's more of a slow-paced game, kind of the same thing Tifu was saying, just way too slow for a guy like Doc who wants to run and gun. Alongside that, though, he also makes it as a CS rework that a bunch of former CS guys have been waiting to happen just so they can go in and throw rainbows and fairy sprinkles, whatever wording he did use. He then really expressed the fact of watchability being an issue of why he does not want to stream this game and why he's quitting Valorant. So quickly, what are your thoughts on that?
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I totally
you're such
get it.
a nice guy.
I'm just saying, you know, you don't have to like the game. I don't expect everyone to like the game. I love the game. I love watching the game. I love playing the game. But I guess, you know, as a streamer, when that is your main job, you have to be concerned about your viewer base and if they enjoy watching whatever you're playing or not.
That's a very good answer. That's very mature of you.
I
didn't expect that. I definitely, you know, I see where you're coming from, and I guess for my counter, for my own personal experience, definitely enjoy playing it, especially if I have a full friend group to actually play with. And then when it comes time, for your point of watchability, that is my main concern. I I don't actually enjoy watching it too much. Just for the fact that based off the hype, I do now because I want to see what pro players or what players develop into it. So I have a bias because I have to watch it. And for that reason, I do enjoy watching it because I learn so much and I can make videos off of it. I can certainly see though someone who's not in my shoes not enjoying it just for the casual experience watching it. So we'll see how it develops. Obviously, we're still in closed beta and we're having all these arguments. So
especially
it's
for all the people who haven't gotten to play yet. I said this in the last video.
True.
It's like, I think that once you actually get to play the game and once you understand and like can pull things from watching people play it,
you'll enjoy it
more.
For sure. Yeah.
So give it time.
Crazy week for Dr. Dis. Crazy week for Valorant. More stuff coming for sure sometime on this guy. As per usual, thank you guys all for watching the Respawn WeWap. I say that so much, dude. I say that. Respawn recap. We hope you guys all enjoy. As per usual, thank you all for the great comments, the subs, and everything you guys have done for us. We really enjoy making these episodes. Same time, same day, every single week. Nicky boy, hit him with it, dude.
Hey, goodbye, everyone.
See you, boys, lads, girls, next time. All right.